Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154. And we're here on Overlord following Bicky51 from the Oz Clan. He's also platooned up with a couple of other Oz Clan members, Reaper 1987 and the Lone Survivor. And Bicky51 is in the Tier 8 British light tank, the LHMTV. This is being classified as a versatile light tank. We'll have a look at a couple of brief comparisons between it and the other versatile light tanks in the game. And probably the standout feature of the LHMTV, and pretty well the entire line of the British light tanks, is they have absolutely fantastic credentials as passive scouts. Very high concealment rating, small profile, the good gun depression. The guns are also set quite high in the turret as well. So you're leaving, I guess, very minimal parts of the tank exposed when you're pressing to engage enemy vehicles. But of course, all that comes at a little bit of a cost. You might have excellent concealment rating, but they've significantly compensated for that by reducing the DPM of vehicles pretty well across the entire line. In fact, amongst the versatile Tier 8 Tech Tree light tanks, it has the worst DPM in the game. Again, just a heap of checks and balances and rebalances. You actually have quite decent penetration on each shell. In fact, you have 226 millimeters of penetration with the standard shell, and you can upgrade that to APCR and get 258 millimeters of penetration for your troubles there as well. So you do have while you're sending rounds down range a bit less frequently than other Tech Tree counterparts, you do have a reasonably elevated chance of putting a hole in the enemy for your troubles. This game is developing a little bit slowly, and unfortunately there's not too much that Bicky51 can do to influence that as a passive scout. So he kind of has to just let it happen and take the shots of opportunity as he can. Unfortunately, in this instance, has not moved quite quickly enough after taking that shot, and has lost half his hit points for his troubles. But I guess nothing's quite as reaffirming as losing half your hit points, and so to that end we'll be taking any further shots with a lot more caution. Lining up again on the enemy Type 59, they've been able to pull back, looking for the AMX-30, takes the shot, starts rolling back, has been spotted, but this time avoids damage. So I guess at this point in time, you could say Bicky51 has got the measure of the enemy. He knows that he can move up behind the soft cover and sort of move around there and get eyes on the enemy with relative impunity, but is conscious that when he goes to take that shot, he does need to pull back. Of course, it is an absolutely magical scenario for you in World of Tanks if you can keep up accurate fire on enemy vehicles and not be spotted for your troubles. It can be the realm of frustration for many opponents, but I guess in the first instance you do kind of have to assume that you're being spotted after every shot that you take. The battle appears to be developing quite nicely in Bicky51's team's favour. They are about 4,000 hit points up. They've appear to have been able to take the beach, and now they're pushing towards the second corridor up from the south. So things are looking up. If they can take that corridor, then they'll be able to start putting a bit of enveloping fire throughout the map. At the moment, Bicky51 is fairly content to just maintain control of the bowl here. We can see the enemy Su-130 PM has, for their own reasons, decided to push in and try to take the bowl. And that's if you think you can get away with it, and you're reasonably well supported behind you, it's not necessarily a bad idea to do that. If you can get into the bowl, if you can get under enemy guns along this ridge, you can actually exert a fair bit of map control. Unfortunately, had just taken too much damage, and Bicky 51 was able to swoop in for their first kill of the game. Now, for all that rubbishing of the damage per minute and the effectiveness of the gun, Bicky 51 is actually seems to be outpacing his light tank credentials with in terms of spotting, and converting that to gunnery credentials. Over 1,000 hit points of damage inflicted on the enemy at this stage, so very nicely done there so far. Unfortunately didn't quite succeed in the shot against the Turtle Mark 1 there. Still maintaining that lead of 4,000 hit points against the enemy, but they're still roughly equal on guns. We can also see that the push on the beach also appears to have been repulsed by superior numbers of enemy tanks that sort of rallied and pushed back. So Bicky 51's team will need to be conscious of, I guess, effective counter pushes from the enemy team, potentially enveloping fire developing from either of these two corridors up from the beach as well. We can also see a bit of a fight developing here between the two Tier 9 tank destroyers. We've got Kung Fu Wombat of the Renegades in the enemy Foch, and Bicky 51's teammate Corporal Hicks in the Object 704. Potentially a clash of titans there. So at the moment, Bicky 51 is trying to position to be able to support the team either way, still maintaining those eyeballs over this middle bowl, while also being in a position to support Corporal Hicks 76 if the Foch decides to push as well. Still not 100% sure where these enemy vehicles have gone. There we are. We see the Skoda T56 has moved around and is playing off the ridge. The Object 704 taking a hell of a thumping there from the Foch. There's possibly been another enemy vehicle that has contributed to that fight as well. So this very much puts Bicky 51 on the defensive. We can assume that the Foch is probably in the process of reloading its mag. So that gives him a bit of time to reposition. The Foch appeared to be in quite a healthy hit point position. In fact, doesn't look like it took any damage from the Object 704 in the course of that engagement. We can probably assume at this point, however, that they are fully reloaded and ready to go again. We can see the Bourrasque and VZ51 moving in to try to plug that gap so that they don't have an autoloader and French tank destroyer charging through and causing chaos in their flank. The Bicky 51 jumps straight to business and is able to get a penetrating hit into the side of the Foch. Tries to do the same on the ISU 152. Unfortunately, doesn't connect this time. But the enemy tank destroyers have been able to knock out their Bourrasque, so it's just the VZ51 that stands to bring crossfire against these vehicles. This is a very smart shot placement there for Bicky 51. He's tracked the Foch. It's able to pick up both the spotting damage, and if it wasn't spotting damage, there'd be tracking damage there for him as well. But he's been able to knock the Foch out, and this just leaves the SU 152. Now, brawling with an ISU 152 is generally assumed to be hazardous for your health. We have a dangerous cross in front of it here. He is quite one-shottable to the ISU 152, but fortunately the ISU 152 swings, misses, Bicky 51 reloads, the ISU 152 has his gun up in surrender, and Bicky 51 puts him out of his misery. But the enemy has fought hard. They've now been able to pull back that 4,000 hit point deficit to just 2,000 hit points. But for their troubles, Bicky 51 still has about a 3-gun advantage, and unfortunately, that potentially gives them double the damage per minute that the enemy team has. Bicky 51 moving into action is able to put another shot into the Skoda T56. The Turtle 1 still on quite a healthy hit point position, but all the hit points in the world are not going to help you if you're getting wrapped up by multiple vehicles. Tracking shot against the Turtle 1 is able to give Bicky 51 a much needed mobility advantage to get in and around behind it, and able to knock it out for his 4th kill of the game. Doing really well here today. And that is a win for Bicky 51 of the Oz Clan. Let's take a look at the results. So very nicely done here by Bicky 51 of the Oz Clan in the Tier 8 British light tank, the LHMTV. Now, one of Bicky 51's personal campaign missions he was trying to knock over was Alliance 15 for the Excalibur. And the honours condition there is that you need to collect an Ace Mastery badge 3 times. And this was actually the 3rd time he's been able to pick up an Ace Mastery badge. So very nicely done. That's knocked over the final Alliance mission for the Excalibur. Unfortunately, no battle heroes or epic medals here today, but plenty of these badges of merit here. We've got the Spotter medal for enabling allies to cause at least 1,000 hit points in damage, which over 2,100 spotting. We've got the Bruiser medal for damaging enemy vehicle modules or crew members at least 5 times in the course of the battle. Inflicted sort of 8 critical hits here throughout the course of the battle, so there's a tick. We've got the Fighter medal for destroying at least 4 enemy vehicles, and he's been knocked out quite a few of them. In fact, all tank destroyers. He has had a bit of a field day against them today. And of course, the Fire for Effect medal for doing at least his hit points in damage. It's quite a fragile vehicle at 1,100 hit points, and he's been able to more than take that out with nearly 2,100 hit points worth of damage inflicted on the enemy. Having a look at the team score, a very well deserved top placement by experience is followed up by Scratch Manats in the Bat Chatillon Barrasque, and also the sniping heavy from the Rise clan, who had a rather unfortunate spill earlier in the battle, and unfortunately we didn't get to see it, but he'd actually full on flipped his Martian. So very glad to see him back on his feet and was able to make a contribution to this particular fight. Special mention on the other side to Kung Fu Wombat of the Renegades, who was in the AMX 50 Foch. Excellent damage score, a couple of kills taken there as well as Lightweight from the Mehi clan in the Skoda T56, also contributing as best as possible for their team. Having a look at the detailed reports, this has been quite a profitable game here for Bicky 51. The personal missions payout contributing quite heavily to this. He's otherwise had a fairly expensive run here with, particularly with the consumables. So we'll take the personal missions payout out of it. He's making sort of 14,000 credits off a tier 8 tech tree vehicle. So not doing too badly at all, considering he's running a premium consumable there as well. So that's it. Very nicely done, Bicky 51. I know this was a light tank that he'd struggled with initially, but he's obviously had his light bulb moment. I mean, the right kind of light bulb moment when you sort of have the idea and you see the light. So it's always very satisfying to see these sorts of results come available on tanks that you've genuinely and consciously struggled with. So well done to you, sir. And if you've got a result that you'd like to share with the community, please reach out over Discord or any of the links below, and we'll do our best to sort you out. In the meantime, take care out there.